It's on the wrong side.
Hey,
Hey!
you on the wrong side.
No, we talked about this
I know.
before. Hi, guys. Welcome to tonight's edition of Purpose for Forever. We
Yes.
are Samantha and
Anthony.
Walker.
Yes, indeed.
We are on every Monday
Monday.
at 8
8 p.m. 8.
p.m. I guess maybe he's trying to show how annoying I am when I do that.
8.
So, yeah.
Thank you guys for being here.
Thank you guys for joining us. We're going to go ahead and run this awesome intro and we'll be right back. Hey guys,
Hey.
we are back.
Yes,
Lisa, thanks for joining
Lisa.
us. Good evening, Lisa. And of course, it's my favorite in the comments. What's up, Fletcher? It is always a pleasure to have you.
Yes.
Thank you guys for joining us. So,
Make sure you share. Make sure you tag. And now we're going to roll on with the topic.
right, what he just said. Like, share, tag, all that good stuff. So tonight, this morning, the brothers, or the brother, because he was one man, one mic, he talked about whether or not men are emotionally available or struggle with it or something along those lines. And I thought like that's a great topic to have in terms of being married or being in a relationship, because I feel like just from conversation, a lot of times people are emotionally unavailable and yet married.
Right.
And that is a conundrum. That shouldn't be. But I think sometimes people don't realize that that's what it is.
Right.
So what better place to talk about it than here with us? Yay.
Right. All right. So like I said, like Samantha said, today we're talking about being emotionally available. What does it look like in relationships, as far as relationships, marriage? What does emotional availability look like? And I want to say, Sam put up a great comment during Brothers of Legacy this morning, and
Of course that's it.
she basically was saying, is it that men are not available, or men are just responding the way they will respond to that situation, in essence? And so that made me think, like, it's possible that we just kind of, it's not that we're not available, but with a situation, it may bother her, but it doesn't bother me, and I respond like, it'll be okay. But unfortunately, it's sitting on her because of the way she may see it or process it, or her perspective on the situation. So with that, being emotionally available, in my eyes, what that looks like is being able to see from someone else's perspective, to be in her shoes, to empathize with the way she's feeling, instead of kind of like writing it off because of how I look at the situation, but hearing what her heart says and responding accordingly. And I think sometimes we miss out because we see it from just our perspective, give her the answer that processes in our head based on the situation, and we don't take into account how our spouse processes certain situations, especially relationally. Wouldn't you say that?
Yes. And
Okay.
we're going to say you need to share. So I figured
You said I need.
share. So I figured first we would talk about some examples of what being emotionally unavailable looks like, and then kind of finish off with kind of the opposite of what it should look like. And I'll say, so as a woman, so I'll just speak from the woman's perspective. And an emotional, unavailable woman that typically can present itself in a lot of ways, but it can be in being not in touch with your feelings. Like, you know, you just have one feeling about everything. You just have one response about everything. It can be anger. It can be you just cry about everything. Like, you know, it's kind of just having a monotone feeling or attitude about everything. It's
Right.
kind of like, oh, I don't care. All right, I don't care. You know, this is bothering me. I don't care. Okay, well, you do that because I don't care. I feel like as a woman, being emotionally unavailable can also present itself in not being affectionate.
Right.
And I don't, yes, with your spouse because we are talking relationally, but like with your kids,
Right.
not having the capacity to hug your children on a regular, not being able to say I love you on a regular. Sometimes it can be just the amount of distance
Right.
that you put between you and your spouse, or you and other people that you're connected to.
Right.
That can be emotional unavailability. It can present itself in, I'll say, just solitude. Like sometimes, you know, you feel like, oh, I don't want to go because, you know, the emotions will be running high, or this could happen. So it's kind of like you withdraw. You know, you spend a lot of time kind of withdrawn from things.
Right.
Like you're emotionally cut off. It's just, this is it.
Right.
That's just some of the ways I feel like it can present itself in a marriage. You know, where you know, your husband come home, or you have a day off or whatever,
Right.
and you just spend your time off to yourself. Like,
Right.
you know, withdrawn. You don't really want to talk. You don't really want to engage. That's some of the ways of that it can present itself in a woman. Now, again, you know, we say all the time we are not therapists. We're just talking from example.
Yes.
And I know there was a large period of my life where I was definitely I was emotionally unavailable, and I was withdrawn. I didn't want to be around people. Like, I would feel like, oh, I don't want to people today.
Right.
Like, I don't want to try to connect. Like,
Right.
the inability to connect, or the inability to want to connect,
Right.
even with him. Or I will say I always managed to connect with the kids. That was like that one space
Yeah.
where, you know, they'll hug you and they'll
Right.
love you, and they
No
don't
matter what.
ask for anything back.
No matter what.
They
Right.
can run up to you if you just let them hug you.
Right.
They're good.
Right. Right.
Those times were great, but
Right.
like as it pertained to him, I just didn't have anything to give,
Right.
or I didn't want to have anything to give.
Right. Right. I think
So tell us some of the ways in a man that
becomes emotionally
That-
like unavailable. Or
they're
like kinda-
unavailable.
I think you know, we tend to, when things get stressed, we kind of get into the processing in our heads, and we kind of shut down. We go into a cave. For me, and I say we because I've had several discussions with other men and find out I'm not the only one that does this. You know, you go into this mental man cave where you're trying to figure things out. It's like a chalk against a rock. Like, okay, I have this. If I do this, we can get out of this.
Okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You know, and we check out, like, and it's happened, unfortunately, often. And I'm here, I'm present, but I'm not here.
Right.
You know, I'm here, like, hey, listen, I'm making breakfast. You know, I'm doing the functions, but I'm not in a present state where I'm available. Especially, you know, our kids have just gotten like in the teenager risk area, so this is prior to this is prior to. So there's like the toddler, like she said, you know, the hugs and the loving. That was even like half, you know, like some of the fun, because I'm kind of checked out, you know, like I'm getting into I don't really want to be bothered stage. And honestly, like even a lot of these like the couple connections trying to do my brothers. I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that because I knew I had a pattern of checking out. So I would like, even if I begin to form one with like 1 or 2 people, it wouldn't be sustained because I would check out and I'll stop calling.
Right.
You know, sometimes we don't talk a whole lot. It's just disconnection. You know, we just don't connect like that. And so what I had to learn to do is work on not checking out. You know, one of the things I've learned throughout the years and had some therapists, kind of tell me is the trigger points. You know, the things that trigger you that kind of get you to check out. And recognizing not to get triggered and checked out. You know, like the trigger happens. That's the thing. The trigger's going to happen, but it's how I respond in the moment when things get rough, when money gets tight, life gets hard, things go wrong, not to check out. It's like, okay, don't check out. And my goal is like I wear it. She said, what's wrong? And I do my best to kind of like, this is what's wrong. This is what's bothering me. But I work not to disappear though. I don't disappear.
Right.
I'm still here,
Right.
and I wear it on my face. I don't try to hide it. I'm here. Like I'm going through it. Like I don't know what it is. Sometimes I don't let it myself check out. And with that, if she's going through something, I can be there and I can have that connection with her, because that's some of the issue when I emotionally check out. If she needs me, then I lose. Then hey, appreciate that. Good stuff, Antoine. Back in the day, is that?
Okay.
Yeah, Williams. Yes, my man.
Hi. Okay. I don't know what you're talking about.
But
I'm sorry. I don't.
It's fine.
I'm sorry.
So when you have the checkout, you gotta open yourself up so you can hear what your wife has to say.
Right. And I'll say as a woman, sometimes when we become unavailable emotionally,
Right.
it can be because of disappointment. Sometimes your spouse may have disappointed you.
Right.
Not purposely, and sometimes it could have been purposely. They may have let you down. Maybe there's been times where you felt you needed them and they weren't available. And sometimes as women, we're going to stick with it. We ain't trying to get out the relationship. It's like, I'm here,
Right.
but you don't have access to me.
Right.
And I was having a conversation with somebody today, a woman, who said that very same thing. Like, he has me, but he doesn't have all of me. And it kind of really made me feel like we really need to talk about this, because this happens so much
Right.
in marriages. It's like, look, we married, he ain't getting out of this alive. We gonna be married till death do us part.
Right.
But we just together. We learned how to have a partnership.
Yeah.
But there's parts of you emotionally that he doesn't have access to
Right.
anymore. And then so the question becomes, how do you reopen up those parts? How do you re-access those parts that you may have willingly or unwillingly shut down? Because
Right.
sometimes things just happen and it's kind of like you feel like you're hemorrhaging, you're bleeding.
Right.
And the only way to keep my sanity or to keep, to stop the blood
Right.
is to just cut it off, clamp it. That's it. I put a clamp in it
Right.
and ain't nothing going out, but at the same time, nothing is coming in.
Yeah.
So emotionally, you're depleted. Emotionally, you're overwhelmed.
Right.
Because, you may be keeping out, drama or, anxiety or whatever,
Right.
but at the same time, you're not letting anything in.
Right.
For me, some of the ways that I was able to re-establish those connections and then open myself up at the same time for a lot of new connections is first, and I say this all the time, I had to be honest with myself. Like, sometimes, there were things I was like, well, he didn't do this right, or he didn't apologize, or he hurt me this way and he hurt me that way. And the honest conversations I had with myself reminded me that some of the expectations I had in my head,
Right.
I didn't communicate.
Right.
Some of the things that I wanted or felt that I needed, I didn't always communicate that clearly.
Right.
And so when I had those honest moments with myself about my part in clamping and, closing off, I had to acknowledge that stuff. So once I could acknowledge, my part in it, it was easier to say, okay, this is what I did. This is kind of what I did. And so going forward, to not let this happen again, I need to be clear about what I want, what I don't want, and what I need. And sometimes I feel like, especially as when you're in a marriage, you get to the point where you're like, well, he's my husband.
Right.
He's supposed to know.
Right.
Hey, Dr. Linda Lee.
Yes.
I'm sorry, these words are small. Well, thanks for joining us. Right, communication is key.
Yes, indeed.
And I had to be honest with myself.
Right.
So once I could relate to him what I need, and not just him, it could be a friend.
Yeah.
As our children grow up, it can be adult children. Just being able to communicate sometimes to people what it is you feel you want or that you need.
Yeah.
And it's not always about them rising to the occasion.
Right.
Because here's the thing, if he never rises to right. Oh, I'm sorry. All I read was the first line. She said, being emotionally unavailable is a defense mechanism.
Right.
Have to be really intentional about breaking that habit and opening up to trust and feel secure in being available to others and your partners.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That
Definitely.
trust part, is exceptionally big because when you get hurt,
Right.
you immediately, it's like I said, you're like, I'm gonna cut this off because nobody's ever gonna hurt me
Definitely.
like that again.
Right.
And there's, there's a recovery period.
Right.
Like when you get hurt, it's kind of like you have to recover from that.
Right.
And you have to acknowledge first that you're hurt.
Right.
You can't just, that's never going to happen to me again and that's it.
Right.
I mean, it sounds good, but if you never relay it, if you never communicate where you are and what you're feeling,
Right.
it's kind of like you get stuck there.
Yeah.
And before you know it, everything is kind of just nonchalant. It's like nothing matters, nothing affects you. You're on autopilot.
Right.
You become numb to things.
Yeah, definitely.
It's talking about
You're okay. Yeah, I think that being exactly what Dr. Ron was saying about emotionally unavailable, it's a defense mechanism, and it's that pulling away, and it affects your whole household. Everyone gets hurt by
healing.
Healing
Right.
is
recovery
definite.
and healing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Definitely gets hurt by the pulling away, the unavailableness of you, and then not sharing what you're feeling. So now you're bottling up, your spouse is bottling up, and like we talked about, the communication is key. The communication is not happening, so there's no forward progression in your relationship. You kind of like now you're stuck in a space. Because no one's
quiet.
Yeah, no one's sharing what's going
Cold
on.
space.
Right, and if you got kids that are reaching the age like the teenagerish, and they're feeling it too. They the kids may not think they see it. They see everything. They see everything. They feel everything, and then they notice patterns.
Right.
They see, okay, daddy's going through this checkout stage again. And now you're also teaching your kids to do the same thing. How to emotionally check out. You don't have to be bothered with everything. Not teaching them how to confront issues or deal with the communication. Being intentional with your communication. Because she was, speaking about the needs and the wants and the desires that you want to have in your relationship, and being intentional in communicating that to each other. And someone mentioned some time ago, I think, when we had one of our interviews, the safe space. To talk about your emotions and
Right.
what you're feeling, And like a couple of videos time back, we talked about having the truth hour.
Right.
Being able to express yourself. And it's definitely key to not going into that cocoon, because we talk about like me being emotionally available, but I can't be available if I bottle up everything I got.
Right.
Because now it's hard to really. It's like trying to. It's kind of like a messy garage. It's like I'm trying to fit something in a space there's too much stuff in there already.
Right.
I haven't taken anything out. I've not taken the junk out, so I'm taking all these things of trash and trying to push to the side and get the car in there. So it becomes challenging. And that's exactly how the conversations are going forth, because she's expressing and I'm like trying to find a space in my head to process. And unfortunately, then I lash out with the first thing on my mind to try to help her. And she's like, that's not what I want. I need you to process and love me so we can go through, so I can get through this emotional space. But I've not had a release myself. And then sometimes we got the head game of resentment. I have not said anything, but I'm blaming her.
Silently.
Right. Like, it's your fault. I can't talk about this. I've not given my spouse the opportunity to have the conversation. And like we said before, we're not therapists. We're telling you our experiences, what we've been through.
The things we've had to work through, the things we still work through.
Right. You haven't purged anything.
Right.
You haven't purged anything.
That kind of goes back to where that honesty has to come in.
Right.
You have to have some honest conversations with yourself. Oh yeah, that was also legacy. But I was saying, like, what you say to yourself about yourself matters.
Right.
And that applies to your marriage too. What you say to yourself about your marriage, about your spouse, like that all matters. If you're saying, "Oh, my marriage sucks," "Oh, my spouse will never get it," "Oh, he'll never understand what I'm feeling," "He don't care about what I'm going through," all those words, they matter.
Yes.
Like, because they get stuck in your brain, and that's. Hey, Taiwan, I'm blaming her. 9 out of 10 is her fault. I know you better be lucky your wife don't see some of these comments you put up here. But how you speak to yourself about your relationship, it matters.
Yes.
Because that sticks in your mind. And before you know it, you're really living your life like, he'll never understand what I'm feeling. So you stop trying to tell him. You stop trying to relay your emotions. It's like you've created a narrative for yourself, for your marriage, and that's kind of what you live by. That narrative that you created with your own words. It's almost like talking yourself into a corner, and then being angry at the corner that you're there.
Yeah, a lot of times, even my retreats, I go on my head, my cave, and I'm mapping it out. And then I'm like, I see the problem. It's her.
Right.
It's her. I'm staying in here because it's her. Until she does what I think she should be doing without me having to tell her, it's still her. And no problem. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us.
But it's we definitely have to stop a lot of the head games. We have to, because I've had multiple fights in my head.
With me.
That has not happened.
That has not happened. We haven't even we haven't even broached the conversation, but he's had a whole conversation in his head. I
can't believe she said that to me.
And he's determined what I'm gonna say, how I'm gonna respond, and so he's already shut down, coming to the table.
Done. I've already talked to you already in my head. I already know what you're gonna say. We are done. I'm going to the other room. And it happened. It happened. And we have to get out of that. The thing is, so I went back to the trigger, right? So the thing that happens that sets off the trigger, it's your decision on how you respond. Like mine is, I something happens, I walk out of the room, and there it is. Like, this is where the ball starts rolling.
Listen, that walk away, I'm just make up a break. That walk away, he does this, he get a little in his feelings, and he just go walking away when I'm still talking to him. You ever been a kid and you try to walk away when your mama says something and she's like, I know you ain't walk away from me. I have that thought every time he does it. Every time he just, and I can see like the back of his head so good, and it just angers me so bad.
But I come back.
Eventually.
I circle back.
Yeah, I know choice. Where you going?
But what the thing is, you know, there were times I do the walk away and it go like a week, 2 weeks. You know, the communication would break down. Rollins said, "I'm still working on stop calculating."
That inner calculating is bad.
We calculate in the cave with the marker and the rock. Okay, this is but he said,
really,
that walk away is powerful.
Right. And then when you have to walk back in, that is like the longest walk of your life when you have to come back.
But yeah, so it definitely, like I said, before there would be a span of a week or 2 weeks, no talking about anything, just no communication. Things are breaking down, and it's like those small things that begin to deteriorate your relationship and can, be detrimental. Get you into a space that's unnecessary.
Right.
It's
totally unnecessary. So some great tips I think that can help you stay emotionally available. I feel like definitely communication.
Yes.
Being able to communicate what you feel.
Right.
Like, don't hold it in. Don't, some people, I was trying to wait for the right time to tell you. Because I'm good at, you was half asleep. And then in the morning I'm mad because he looked like he was half asleep.
Right.
But I never said anything. Right. So always try, to communicate what you're feeling. And to do that without expectation. Because remember, being emotionally available is for you.
Right.
Like, this is a benefit for you personally. I mean, yes, it does benefit the relationship, but it benefits you as well. The stress and the weight that comes with being emotionally unavailable. Right. Stress on your body, stress on your brain. You've been losing sleep, not eating properly, gaining weight, losing weight. There's so many health benefits to keeping your mind, body, and heart free and clear. Right. So communication, I think, being able to relay how you feel is an important tip. I would say start there. Look, hey, today is Wednesday, and it's a wacky Wednesday. I'm feeling a little out of sync. Right. I don't know what it is, but just if I say some crazy stuff, let it slide. Right. And move on. I know it's like, really? Yes, sometimes... Look, this is what I'm feeling. Right. It's not intentional. Don't take it the wrong way. I'm just feeling a little out of sync. I think it's important to be able to say that. Yeah, you got a tip?
Definitely. Talk about dreams. If both of you are up, right? Hopefully, both of you get it right. Definitely stand on the positive. Right. For me, the main thing is the checkout. Or the trigger to the checkout. Okay. Don't allow what it is that is setting you off, that's going to send you back into the cave, right? And right now, you may not know, but I'm telling you so that you're aware of it. So the next time you find yourself back in the cave, you're like, dang it, how to get back in this cave, right? And so if you're like where we were, for me with the span of days going without communication, don't let the day go, If you come in wherever space you're in that you always walk into, or whatever your favorite chair, you go into your cave, like, okay, I gotta break this cycle. Right. And that's the main thing. Like, whatever cycle is unhealthy in your relationship, when you recognize the trigger that's setting you off to get you in that space, and it may be a toxic behavior from drinking to smoking or something that puts you in a certain space, then you have to recognize it and don't go there. Like, okay, don't do it. Let's do something different. Let's go back in the room. Let's try to have a conversation. Right. Let's have the conversation so she can say what you're thinking in your head. At least the worst, you'll be right. Like, the best, you'll be wrong. Talking about your dreams.
When you wake up from sleeping can create
Emotion.
emotional time of talk.
Right. Definitely.
I'm gonna say, and this is probably where I lean more to the testosterone part of my body. Listen, physical closeness
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
a good way.
It is.
You know, they talk about like the endorphins and stuff your body releases.
Right.
Hugging,
Right.
touching. It doesn't always have to lead to, you know, the mountaintop, even though that's not a bad idea either. But you know, sometimes just touching
Right.
or holding hands.
Right.
That connection. That listen, for anybody, if you've ever had a newborn baby, not a newborn, a premature baby. Like both our kids was premature, and when we had our son, like, you know, he was in the neonatal unit, you know, where small little babies are.
Right.
And in the unit, they were big on, they just call it skin to skin contact.
Right.
So when we would go, you know, to feed him and to sit with him and stuff, they would tell us, you know, you wear something you can button down so you can lay the baby on your skin. Right. And it was an important connection for, you know, the kid to have skin to skin contact. Right. Why did I say all of that? Because have you ever been sitting next to your spouse and they just rub your arm? Right. It could be at a moment when they feel like you're getting anxious. Right. Or you're getting upset and they just rub your arm. Right. And you're like, okay, baby. You know, you get it. And it makes a difference. So I would say sometimes affection can help with keeping you emotionally available. Right. You know, sometimes we go all week and we barely see each other, so you know we ain't talking to each other. Right. To we're not touching each other. And it's easier, you know, to just bottle up for somebody you ain't seen all week. Right. But you know, that constant, when you walking by, sometimes just touch their arm. Right. You know, or you know, touch the back of their head. Look. You know, little stuff. I would definitely say affection, you know, definitely is a way to keep you emotionally available and open. Right. You know, we are physical beings. Yeah. We need touch. We need hugs. We need kisses. We need that stuff. It's a part of our makeup. Right. I think, and a lot of times when you don't want to be touched and don't want somebody near you, it's because you have already emotionally shut down. Right. So my next tip is, you know, affection, physical touch, some of that good old skin to skin contact. Like I said, it doesn't always have to end, you know, up here, even though I'm not opposed to that for married people.
Yes, indeed.
But I think that emotional touch and connections, I feel like that touch, that physical connection goes a long way in keeping you open and available to your spouse. Definitely. You got another one?
Yes.
It's hard to come after that one, ain't it?
Yep. But you can join our community. Text P4F to 84576. We have intentional love challenges. Definitely helps with the connection. Right. Because it's trust me, you have all week, but if you feel like you're kind of wavering, you're having a rough week, just jump into the challenge. Right. You know, pick it's weekly, so it's not every day. If you sign up now, we replay the weekly challenge on Wednesday, so you'll get a chance to see it. Keep the butterflies, right? And you do that by joining our community. Text P4F to 84576. Join our weekly intentional love challenge.
Right. And so since he brought it up, let's talk about this week's challenge. So this week's challenge is semi-unique because it's going to be something first time that we tried. Right. You know, like I'm constantly picking up books and stuff on relationships and trying to find little stuff for the couples that we interact with. So I picked up a book and it was like 50 awesome date nights or something along those lines. And so one of the date nights was a driveway date. Right. They were saying, you know, sometimes when their kids were smaller, it wasn't always easy to like leave and be gone or get a babysitter. So they would just back the car out of the driveway, out of the garage, into the driveway. You know, now with what technology is, you can take your laptop
Right.
into the car. You can watch a whole movie in the back seat with some snacks. You can drink some wine, have some cheese. You can even make it a pajama date.
Right.
Go and sit in the car with in your pajamas and listen to music. But that is this week's challenge, to have a driveway date. Now listen, if you don't got a driveway, you got a parking lot. Maybe y'all live in an apartment.
Right.
Same thing. It would equal the same thing. Go sit in your car and don't act like y'all ain't never been in the back seat of no cars. Y'all may not want to talk about it, but it's might have been a lot of years because we older. But there was some years when y'all was in the back seat.
Right.
Now, yeah. So that's
Whatever you
the
wanna
challenge for this week.
Whatever you want.
Drop back out into your driveway. If
Right.
you park in the garage, get in the back seat, have some conversation, listen to some music, watch a movie,
Right.
hold hands, just be in that moment with your spouse. Minimum an hour, I would say.
Right.
And that's the challenge, just to have a driveway date. Now I want to see some pictures.
Yes.
If y'all in the back seat, don't
Phone
do that. Right. Don't drop the phone. Actually take some pictures. So that is the challenge for this week. But yeah, like he said, little stuff like this,
Right.
like out the blue, maybe you're the husband and you're watching us and your wife don't watch. Maybe she's never heard A Purpose for Forever. But if you enjoying the challenge and you're like, babe, let's try something different. We
Right.
gonna have a driveway date.
Right.
She gonna think you the man. You done came up with something creative
Right.
and different, a way for you guys to spend time together. So if you're the one spouse watching the show, listen, I'm giving you some brownie points.
Right.
Take heed.
Take heed. All right. We
Right.
good?
We good.
All hearts and minds are clear. We appreciate you guys for being here, rocking with us another Monday at 8 p.m.
Yes.
Again, make sure you share. Sharing is caring. Thank you guys for rocking with us. We got the podcast popping out. So if you've missed any episodes, it'll be on the podcast.
We do.
It'll be available real soon.
Listen, my voice is
let's go.
really not the kind of
got
voice
it.
that you want to be podcasting to. Listen, I'm not gonna lie.
Thank you,
I'm
Lisa.
really. Thanks, Lisa. Like when it comes to podcasts, it's hard for me just to listen to something that I can't see, and then voices matter. So my voice is not really the podcast voice. Watch us on Mondays. Don't podcast and my voice is gonna get on your nerves. I love y'all, Lo.
All right.
I'm just saying.
As always, love intensely
Love unconditionally.
and love
On purpose.